Baseball Money is Fake on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We're also brought to you by Parlay Play. Parlay Play is a lead pipe locking for parlaying player props. Go to parlayplay.io and use promo code SGP for a 100% deposit bonus today.
Welcome to Baseball Money is Fake, a fantasy baseball podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I am Blake Meyer, back again this week. And if you haven't noticed, my audio quality is slightly better because I am recording in my very expensive microphone. Unlike last week when somebody forgot to plug their microphone in and didn't realize until he edited the audio at the end. But I am here with Ryan Gilbert, like always. How you doing today, Ryan?
I am doing fantastic. You know who else is doing fantastic? What did I tell you? Trey Turner Redemption Tour. It's in full swing. He already has 5 RBIs in August, 5 RBIs this weekend, including a go-ahead 3-run home run in the 6th inning, Saturday's game. Do you know how many RBIs Trey Turner had in July? Let me get the games and at-bats. He had 24 games, 101 at-bats. How many RBIs do you think he had?
I want to say like 3. I don't really know. 10.
Oh, no. 3 was a good guess. He had 5. He matched that this weekend against the Royals. So good weekend for the Phillies. They didn't sweep them. Got the series win. But yeah, repping the first place Orioles now tonight with my O's hat on here. First place AL East with the Phillies rained out. So yeah, I'm doing good.
Man, all Trey Turner needed was a little bit of,
just some love,
sweet encouragement,
just some brotherly love,
Yeah, just a little pat on the back, a little. We paid you $300 million. You could do this.
I don't want to step out of place here, but I don't think it got the coverage that Philly fans booing people does at all. I know it got coverage a lot in Philadelphia, but I don't think it got any national coverage that I saw, at least.
Yeah, it wasn't really talked about out here at all. It should have gotten it, I guess. I still think it was a little weird. I mean,
it was very weird. It was very weird. It was like, okay, we're treating this player making $300 million like a little leaguer who's trying his best, but is not competing. Like, to that point, I see that. But also, yeah, this guy's gonna be here. He's trying his best. He admit his mistakes. He's like, I fucked up. It's rock bottom. We lost because of us. You know what? You admit your mistakes. We're gonna cheer you on. If you're gonna be a little coward like Ben Simmons, just run you out of town.
Yeah, he needed a little bit of love. It's a little weird. Mariners fans would never. I don't think Mariners fans get the coverage that Phillies fans do. We are fucking ruthless. All right, I shouldn't even say me because I'm not. I'm one of the more look on the bright side type of Mariner fans. But God, if you go 0 for 4 in one game out here, just fucking cut him. Like that's how it goes every time. Just get him out of here. He stinks.
Yeah, but I mean, I talked about the Phillies, but how about those Mariners going out and just mopping the Angels, 4-game set, back in playoff contention? What are the vibes in Seattle right now?
The vibes are high right now, very high right now. Pitching has been on point. Bryce Miller yesterday, 5 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts. Did a good job working out of. I think he threw like 29 pitches or 28 pitches in the first inning yesterday. Still came and struck out 10 batters, which is what we needed him to do. The bullpen's a little thin just because they have been a bit overworked, but man, the offense is really starting to click, which I always love to see the offense clicking out here. The new guys haven't really hit much, but Cade Marlowe's a beast. Yeah, I mean, me and you talked about Cade Marlowe right when he first got called up. I put him on my waiver wire thing.
Talked about him. I didn't say shit about him. I didn't know who this guy was.
A long time ago. So our throwback listeners might remember the episode I did with Mike Curlin from The Athletic in beginning of January. We talked about Cade Marlowe and how he would have fantasy value this year. I need to go pull a clip from that at some point or something. I was thinking about that today. And I didn't even know he was a Savannah Banana for a while.
I saw that. That's amazing.
Wild.
Yeah, like the picture there. I saw that. Also, Munoz striking out Ohtani, I think twice, right in that series at least.
Mm-hmm.
Brash got a save too. So, yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, Ohtani's." There was a tweet like, "Oh, Ohtani's the MVP of every game he plays in." No, not this series. You know, he hit
Nope.
that. Did Marlowe have that grand slam?
Yep.
Yeah, it was
That was Marlowe.
Okay. Yeah.
Ohtani had tears in the freaking dugout afterwards. But the Mariners made it a point. So a big thing that the Mariners do is they call it CTZ, control the zone. They like the hitters to control the zone, and they like the pitcher to control the zone. And they're not afraid of anybody, which is their downfall sometimes. But on the pitching side of things, they made it a point that they were going to come after Ohtani in this series. Like they're not gonna be scared of him. They're not gonna shy away from pitching him to him. That's why Matt Brash is just hucking him fucking 100-mile-an-hour fastballs up in the zone, like come and get it. And Saucedo yesterday, just electric, getting that. I think he got the save yesterday, just fucking electric, coming out of the pen, fired up, getting the final out. The Mariners are rolling right now, and there's a lot of excitement there. But again, like I mentioned, Mariners fans can be brutal. Like Teoscar Hernandez is the prime example. Everybody hates him.
He had a bomb yesterday. He was on my bench.
Yeah. Everybody hates him every at bat, and then he hits a home run, and it's like, hell yeah, Teoscar Hernandez is so good. And then he strikes that next at bat, and everybody's like, I fucking hate watching him.
Same thing as Schwarber. It's like, oh, he's hit 30 bombs, but he hit like 175. So like that's what it is. That's what it is.
I watched the Phillies game yesterday. I watched Schwarber hit that dinger. Huh? And I watched that the play the Royals made, that little double play or whatever. No, where the second baseman dove and flipped it to the shortstop to throw the dude out at first base. I was folding laundry and I had to stop for a minute and go, oh, whoa, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, and that control the zone. Just go way off topic for a bit here. Control the zone reminded me of that's the strategy you should employ in MLB The Show. We called the show Baseball Money's Fakes. We can talk about things that aren't fantasy baseball, but here's what I do. Sometimes I never swing until I get 2 strikes because people make a try to chase. You control the zone, win every pitch, win every at bat, and you'll win some games for video game baseball and real life baseball and fantasy baseball. Take it a day at a time, grind it out.
I give myself that pep talk before I load into every ranked seasons game, and I still swing at the first slider in the dirt out of the zone every time.
All right, let's get into some fantasy baseball talk here before we have to get to the first ad break. I guess the story of the weekend has kind of been this Davis Schneider guy for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's what, 9 for 13 or something, 2 home runs, like one of the first players ever, first player in quite some time to do that. Is he somebody that you picked up at all, or do you think this is just okay, great start to his career, this is all downhill from here?
I think it could honestly be, not to compare a hitter to a pitcher, but kind of Bryce Miller-esque. Like he has this kind of historic start to his rookie year, kind of comes out of nowhere for a lot of people. And he obviously doesn't keep up that pace for the rest of the year, but he settles in as like a reliable fantasy
selling
asset.
Bryce Miller way too short.
Now, if you look at Bryce Miller's game log, he has games like yesterday where he went 5 innings and 10 strikeouts, and then he'll have games where he gives up like 3 or 4 home runs and 7 earned runs. So
Schneider is a career 253 hitter in the minors. So I think Bryce Miller is better than that.
But Schneider this year in 87 AAA games, he hit 21 dingers and 9 stolen bases. He had an 18% walk rate, which is crazy. He had an 18% walk rate last year in 17 games also.
275 with 969 OPS, AAA. Yeah, that makes sense why they gave him the shot.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, he elevates the ball really well, which plays well in Toronto. And he plays second base, which we talked about it last episode when we were talking about Giloff. Such a premier position because there's so few like actual good, like really good fantasy players there. So it does make him slightly more valuable. Now, I don't think he's going to continue this 9 hits, 2 home runs in his first 4 games or whatever pace. That's probably not going to happen.
Probably
not. He does have real power. So like the power is there. The extra base hits are going to come. I think he tails off probably back to about that 250 mark. But yeah, I think you just found a power hitting second baseman widely available in the fantasy leagues, and it should be something that a lot of people key in on.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where he's been playing for the Blue Jays, or if he's going to. I think he's been playing second base with see. Paul DeYoung's playing shortstop. I guess they really had no second baseman for the most of the season. So yeah, I guess Schneider, he hit third on Sunday. He's hitting leadoff tonight in Cleveland. I mean, it's Davis Schneider mania there in Toronto, apparently.
As it should be, because with Bichette going down, they really needed somebody to be able to step up and kind of make up for his bat. Now, granted, he's not going to make up for Bo Bichette's bat, but he's going to make up
and then some.
Yeah, he's giving you more production than kind of a black hole replacement player would give you in that spot. So yeah, I think he is fantasy relevant in 12 teams or bigger. In the 10-team league, I'd probably hold off because I do think he cools down quite a bit. But 12-team or bigger, there's definitely a spot for Schneider.
Yeah, I mean, you said he elevates the ball, and that's something I like to see. And you can elevate your SGP game with the Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon to get access to exclusive contests, including the NFL Win Totals contest with a $1,000 first place prize. Besides season-long contests, we also have weekly contests just for the patrons, plus a monthly SGP Stories podcast, ad-free and full of behind-the-scenes info and stories from SGPN. There's even this Discord channel just for patrons, sg.pn/Discord. Check out the MLB channel as well, and the hockey channel. If you're into that, hockey channel is the best channel there. Only you can prevent corporate gambling. Do your part and sign up today. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon.
All right. Somebody else that I want to cover. He was on my list last week for the waiver wire. This week, I apologize to the people that read my content. I was very busy this weekend and did not get my waiver wire article out. I apologize, but I got names for you guys. One is Mike Tauchman. He was my number one player to pick up before last week. Outfield for the Chicago Cubs. And wouldn't you know it, the dude had one hell of a week. In those games last week, he hit 381 with 3 doubles, a home run, drove in 6, scored 8, and stole 2 bases. Walking 12% of the time, only struck out 16% of the time. Hits leadoff for the Cubs very regularly, and they score a lot of runs lately. He's still not very high on the rostership rate in a lot of formats and a lot of leagues, and he should be higher because, again, we preach this all the time. You don't find leadoff guys on the waiver wire very often, especially ones that are being productive in overly productive lineups. Tauchman should be rostered. At the very least, he's better than your worst bench player. But, I mean, in our SGPN Dynasty League last week, I started him. I told you guys to pick him up in my waiver wire article. I started him in the Dynasty League, and it went really, really well. That low strikeout rate, high walk rate plays very well in a points league also. So you can key in on that. And I do like that he doesn't have a ton of home run power. He has good doubles power and the speed to steal. Like last week, he stole 2 bases. He has the speed to steal 2 or 3 bases a week. And he's going to keep getting on base, even though he's not so great against lefties, much better against righties. But the reality of Major League Baseball is you play against a lot more righties than lefties. So he's going to start more often than he's not. And the Cubs have a pretty favorable schedule this week. So I think he's somebody a lot of people should be keying in on.
Yeah, he's the talk of the town, man. That's the Cubs. The Cubs are just red hot right now. Took 2 or 3 from the Braves. I think they won like 8 in a row before that or something. It's like, are the Cubs going to keep this up though? I think that's the whole thing. Like Bellinger's batting 326. He's one of like the leading averages in the league. Swanson hit a home run over the weekend. Ian Happ's been hot. Nico Horner, Christopher Morel have been great. Tauchman's now great. Like the Cubs have this magic. I don't know if you want to believe in it or not. Depends what you want to do there. But yeah, Tauchman, he's up to 35% rostered in Yahoo leagues, which I think is probably about where he should be. Maybe a little bit more just because he doesn't have necessarily the track record. But another multi-hit game on Sunday. He's going to keep hitting leadoff. As you said, he has a series against the Mets, series against Toronto this week. So yeah, he's probably a pretty good outfield depth bet for this week.
And another outfield guy. I do try and mix up positions. Sometimes I'm not always able to do that. But Matt Wallner for the Minnesota Twins is putting together a pretty damn good year this year too. In 30 games, he has 4 doubles, 7 home runs, scored 16, driven in 16, and he's hitting 268. He has really good power. So far this year, he has an 18.5% barrel rate, which, we love a good barrel rate around here, and that is very high. If somebody's getting you a double-digit barrel rate, like 10%, that you key in on that. Like, that's a very good barrel rate. So to be at 18.5% is nuts. 91 mile an hour average exit velocity and a 50% hard hit rate. And he's actually underperforming his expected stats, which is crazy. He's hitting 268. His expected batting average is 271. Slugging 573. Expected slugging is 611. His XWOBA is 423. He has been very, very productive. And he's hitting regularly in that Twins lineup, even though we don't really like the Twins much around here. They're a pretty underperforming team offensively, but Wallner has kind of been a light in that lineup. He has legitimate good power, and he's not going to hit for a shitty average, which that seems to be what Minnesota is good at. They get these guys that have power and then can't hit for average. Max Kepler, Kirilloff, Joey Gallo, Carlos Correa. None of them really hit for a very good average, but they have good power. Wallner has finally been able to be the guy that can do a little bit of both. And again, very under-owned or under-rostered. I don't like to use the word owned because it sounds weird. Very under-rostered in a lot of leagues. So key in on Wallner. Again, 12-team or deeper or like a 5 outfield league, Wallner has some very good usage for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm looking at Wallner right now. He's one of the most picked up players on Yahoo today. He's up 5% to 9% rostered in Yahoo formats. And I think he's a power hitter that can hit for average. He's a career in the minors, 274. This year, AAA hit 291 with 11 home runs in 67 games. Last year, 277 with 27 home runs in 128 games across AA and AAA. So Wallner was not on my radar whatsoever. And you know what? He might still not be in my 12-team leagues. I don't have any really deeper leagues. So, but yeah, if you need outfield help, if you want like a nice little punch there, it does suck that he's a lefty and he is being benched tonight against a southpaw. But in Detroit, also this week is not the best hitters ballpark, I believe. So you know what? But he's been hitting the ball well. So yeah, I think Wallner is definitely a good guy to target there in 12-team or deeper leagues.
Another good guy to target. I'm just flying right through these right now. Bryce Terang. He's somebody that we talked about earlier in the year when Milwaukee called up a bunch of guys kind of all at the same time. And Terang, he was hot right out of the gate, and then he struggled, and then I think he got sent down for a couple weeks and came back. But since then, we'll just take this last week, for example. He hit 421 last week. He with a dinger, 5 runs scored, 5 RBI, and he stole a couple bases. And he didn't strike out a single time this last week, which is huge. Again, especially in points leagues, not a single strikeout. Strikeouts are negatives. We don't like negatives. He's not a big power guy. I think he has 5 home runs on the year, 2 home runs in his last 50 at bats. So not great. But the speed is there. He has legitimate, I think he's 93rd percentile, 94th percentile for sprint speed. And Milwaukee is giving their guys the green light. Him, Joey Wiemer, all those guys. If you got speed and you get on base, feel free. Terang's going to continue to hit in that lineup, even though I think he's sitting towards the bottom of the lineup, which isn't great. Yeah, he's been batting 8th lately. But again, he's a second baseman. He has second base and shortstop eligibility. It's a good position to try and find some added value heading into the fantasy playoffs. I think we have 5 weeks. I think it's kind of the general consensus of how long until the fantasy baseball playoffs start. So if you can get a guy like Bryce Terang that down the stretch can give you speed, on base ability, score some runs, you should key in on that.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily buying into Bryce Terang as much as you're. Obviously, he is kind of just a target for deeper leagues. I think he's rostered in like 9% of Yahoo leagues. I saw there. He's hitting a lot better recently. But looking at his baseball savant page, it's a lot of blue. His expected WOBA is definitely going up recently over the past 25 plate appearances or so. And maybe he found something with his swing. Maybe he's got something. He has the speed, so if you do want stolen bases, maybe he's a guy to target for the playoffs. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Loading up your roster, seeing what you need for the playoffs. He can be someone you look at there. And yeah, having second base and shortstop definitely helps. You can be util slot in middle infield, but primarily looking at him in 15 team leagues or deeper. If like you have a Bo Bichette injury or a second base injury, maybe look at him for replacement. Gary Sanchez. He kind of laughed in my face with another home run on Sunday night. He's not in the lineup today as the Padres are losing to the Dodgers, but Gary Sanchez, I'm assuming you're still in on him.
Yeah, even more now. I think I saw today that if you like took just from the time he got to the Padres and extrapolated that out, to use one of your words, he's on a 43 home run pace for a season, which is nuts for a catcher. That's
15 home runs in 53 games with San Diego. So multiply that by 3, 45 home runs.
It's crazy. High barrel rate, 14.8%, pretty much 15%. Again, he's another guy. He's underperforming his expected batting average by only like 10 points, but still, it's weird to see these guys that are putting up these big numbers and you're like, oh shit, he's underperforming. But yeah, I think there's value there. Right now, he's giving me 2021 Salvi vibes. Just out of nowhere, just come out and do nothing but just mash dingers all the time. I am very surprised though, because Petco Park sucks for hitters. And so for him to go there of all places and all of a sudden get back to his home run hitting self kind of caught me by surprise, but it seems legitimate. And yeah, I like him honestly, I like him in all leagues, like 10 team, 12 team, 50, everything. I like him everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really good. To fix my no catcher I was going with, I was looking at, I offered Masataka Yoshida for a few different catchers around the league, offered it for Adley, offered it for Will Smith, and they ended up biting on that. So, maybe I'm selling low on Yoshida, but my other outfielders are Judge, Stanton, Eloy, Tatis, Schwarber, and Lars. So I figured I can take the hit of Yoshida to get a catcher in there that I'm going to start every day. Will Smith is probably one of the most consistent catchers in baseball, even though he's kind of on the lower side of things. But yeah, Gary Sanchez, if you don't have the trade capital or whatever, I think he's a fantastic pickup if he's still available in your leagues. And also would be fantastic to go to Parlay Play. We are brought to you by Parlay Play. Parlay Play is a great way to get down on your favorite parlayed player props. Football season right around the corner, and Parlay Play will have all your favorite props. It's available in a ton of states, including California and Texas. Plus, our good friends up north, Parlay Play is available in a bunch of provinces in Canada. And when you sign up with our code, you'll get a sweet bonus to get started. So head over to parlayplay.io and use promo code SGP for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's parlayplay.io, promo code SGP. I also want to clarify on that Yoshida trade. I do have some futures on Yoshida to win the Rookie of the Year, which Gunnar is looking like he's running away with. So it's kind of a hedge there, a little bit of like, okay, if he goes off, I'm going to win my bet. And I think Will Smith is fine anyway. So just to clarify there for you, Catfish there in the chat.
And one, just reminding me, one catcher that I want to throw out there that people should be targeting in waiver wires as well is Freddie Fermin for Kansas City. Salvi went down. I think Furman's going to start at catcher for the rest of the year. And if you go back to from July 8th until now, so just 2 days shy of a month, he's hitting 386 with 9 extra base hits, 13 runs scored, and 9 RBIs. He has multi-hit games in his last 4 and another 5 games in that stretch. He has a WRC plus of 192 in that time frame. The Royals, again, aren't the most exciting. They're not the most exciting team in the world, not the most exciting lineup in the world. But Furman is getting consistent at bats. He's hitting 5th and 6th, but leaning more towards 5th pretty consistently. And he's putting the bat on the ball. He just had 2 home runs on the 5th and another home run back on the 30th. Driving in plenty of runs, scoring runs. He's doing everything that you want out of a catcher. I know they also have MJ Melendez, but he's pretty strictly an outfielder now. Yeah. So Furman seems to be in the driver's seat for that catcher spot for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I did not realize Freddie Furman was a catcher. He has a 4-game multi-hit streak, 2 for 4 straight games, 2 home runs on Saturday there. Yeah, I think Furman is definitely being overlooked in a lot of leagues. He's only 13% rostered. Looking back at his minor league numbers here, if this would load for me, this year he hit 304, only 5 home runs in 14 games. Yeah, he's been in the majors most of the year, or was hurt a little bit, but yeah, in the majors now he's up to 8 home runs in almost 50 games. That's on pace for 24, 25 home runs in a full season, hitting 300, OPS close to 9. So yeah, Freddie Fermin seems like a pretty good pickup if you guys need a catcher, and Sanchez is maybe even over Sanchez right now. I think possibly his ceiling could be higher.
Yeah, especially depending on league type, like points leagues, I'm definitely leaning towards Fermin. In a category league, if you need dingers really bad, probably Sanchez. But if you don't need dingers really bad, I might even lead Fermin there too. Because in that last month, he has a 15.5% barrel rate and a 51% hard hit rate. So he's making good contact. He's making quality contact. He doesn't walk a lot. He's only walking like 5% of the time. Not great, but he's only striking out 21% of the time. So he makes up for it there. Fermin is a sneaky good pickup that I haven't heard really anybody talking about or even writing about. So Fermin is somebody that you guys should, if you need a catcher, if you need a util bat, if you need something, go snag Fermin.
Yeah, Fermin definitely could pick up. Looking down, who's being added recently here? Jake Bauers is apparently batting leadoff now for the New York Yankees. He homered on Friday and Saturday against Houston, went 0 for 4 on Sunday. Had 2 home runs the week before that, 31st and 30th, had a home run each game. You think he's somebody that, could be a value with first base and outfield eligibility rest of the season? Rostered in 5% of Yahoo leagues, so he should be available in almost every league.
Yeah, like I really don't like Jake Bauers, so I don't think I could recommend
like Mike
him.
Ford. He's like, remember Mike Jacobs like years ago?
Oh yeah.
Like,
I just
Luke Voigt is.
I like that he's hitting leadoff. So I guess if I had to say something good about him, he's hitting leadoff, just like we talked with Tauchman. Like he's hitting leadoff, which is a big help, but Bauers isn't that good, and
I didn't realize he
played
in Seattle last year. I did not realize that. So that's why you don't like him.
You know what? He's so insignificant that I didn't realize he played in Seattle last year.
2 home runs in 72 games.
He played 72 games for us last year. I feel like I should have known
wild.
that. That's 2 more home runs than Steven Souza Jr. hit.
Friend of the podcast there. Friend of the podcast.
We got to get him back on the pod.
I was going through some of my old baseball cards and I saw a Bowman Chrome of like Steven Souza from like 05, 06. I had a good one. I have a Bumgarner from them too, so hopefully that's worth something. It's not autoed or anything, but hopefully it's something.
I think the first Bowmans are pretty good. Speaking of freaking, I got one of these in a break the other day. Not to show my cards off like I always do. It is Ceddanne Rafaela for
Rafael. He's gonna
Boston.
The next
dude, he's killing it. Yeah. I got that in a break and was just like, oh, that's cool. And then lately he's hitting like 400 in AAA over the last couple of weeks. So like that one a lot. But not to put you on the spot. One person. Sorry, scatterbrain. One person I want to cover. Eury Perez is coming back today.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this, that means he came back yesterday. He got sent down to manage his innings, even though he was playing out of his absolute goddamn mind when he was up. He is now back. And from what I have read, it looks like the Marlins plan to have him make 10 more starts, 10-ish more starts between now and the end of the year. So he's back to full Eury Perez value right now. 10 starts is going to take you to the fantasy playoffs and probably into the fantasy playoffs a little bit. He may get shut down or move to a relief role once you really get into the playoffs. But if you have him, ride him out for that playoff push. I think there's 1 week left until the trade deadline. So for fantasy baseball and like your standard league. So if you really need that help for the playoff push, I think Eury Perez is somebody that you could make a move for. If you have him, start him. He's really, really, really good. His numbers were not a fluke before he got sent down. He has electric stuff. He has that power changeup that they seem to be teaching those Marlins pitchers out there. And he has freaking mastered that thing. and I think he hits like 98 with his fastball. So Eury Perez is back. I'm hoping he has an excellent game today. I have him in every league, so he's one of the guys that I'm kind of hoping to do well. But he should do very well. It's 2-start week for him.
Yeah. Some injury updates here. Josh Young in the AL Rookie of the Year race. He has a broken thumb. I haven't seen an exact timeline for that, but I imagine he'll be out for at least 4 to 6 weeks, if not more. It seems like that could possibly end his season. Just looking at some of the third basemen available in my league. Jake Berger. Jake Berger's not really doing too well down there in Miami. Brandon Drury, I just dropped. He's rostered in 68% of leagues. He's probably a solid pickup. He's batting third tonight for the Angels. Batted third last night as well. Perdomo could be out there as well. Ty France, Patrick Wisdom, Rengifo. Any of those guys catch your eye if you need a third baseman? I guess Rengifo. We talked about him. Last show. Second base, third base, shortstop, outfield eligibility. 3-game hit streak, 4 for 11. So yeah, he's batting the top that Angels lineup. This is just a leadoff hitter show, apparently.
Yeah, it is. We're keying in on them. I think Ty France as well. That might be my Mariners homer coming out of me a little bit, but he's picked it up as of late. He just hit a 3-run home run the other day. So he's not the power hitting Ty France that he was previously, but Ty France has always been a guy that excels at batting with runners on base and runners in scoring position. But for whatever reason, this year he's struggled. As of late, he's getting back to it, though. He's the clutch Ty France that Mariners fans knew and loved. And if that's the case, he was not even a rosterable player coming into the year. He was a draftable player coming into this year. So if he's available, I think that's a good fill-in for Josh Young.
Yeah, and speaking of injuries, Jazz Chisholm left the game on Saturday after a stolen base attempt, but MRI came back clean today on Monday. No structural damage. He's out of lineup tonight, but day to day, hopefully he can have some improvement and play this week. That's just he just seems injury prone. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is. It sucks though because he could be he is one of the most exciting players in baseball when he's healthy. It's just staying healthy is the key part there.
That's the hard part. Same thing. Eloy, did you see that? With that fight the other day, he hurt himself.
How have we not talked about the fight at all? It was just
one hell of a baseball fight, man.
It just seems like everyone. Tim Anderson the rise and fall of Tim Anderson is going to be a great documentary in 5 or 10 years. He was tweeting after the fact. I mean, here's the thing: he's probably going through some shit, and you know what? He needs to work through it, but like, don't work through it on the baseball field, square up, and then get knocked out. Just don't do that. That's it.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of that was the fact that the umpire just moved.
He was like, no, it was like a hockey ref. He was like, all right, no.
Go ahead. And did you see? So Tim Anderson got knocked out and was not happy about it. And then I was just reading earlier at work, Yasmani Grandal wanted to leave one day early.
An exclusive to 670 The Score, an Odyssey station. Continue.
There we go. Yasmani Grandal wanted to leave a day early, or like the night before they were supposed to leave before the All-Star break because he wasn't in the All-Star game. So he wanted to leave the night before. And Tim Anderson told him something along the lines of, fuck him. If he doesn't want to be here, I'll buy his plane ticket home. And Yasmani Grandal smacked the shit out of him just in the locker room. So Tim Anderson he's at the receiving end of some fucking licks lately, and he needs to figure it out or just be quiet, because the fact that he was going off on Twitter after the fact, not a good look. Very Antonio Brown-esque of him.
Yes. Yeah. All right, back on track. You got anything else here before we close it out? Any other players? Any other injury updates we should touch on? Shane McClanahan is flying to LA. He could be done. Jake Fraley on the IL. TJ Friedel's been hot recently if you're looking for a Reds replacement. Munoz or Brash rest of the year. I saw your poll. How'd that turn out?
It's very lopsided in Munoz's favor. I still think it should be Matt Brash. Munoz is too hittable. Like, I know that's a weird thing to say. He has like a 3.2 ERA, which is good, but also not great for a closer. He just gave up a run the other day. I think when I think of a good closer, I think it's somebody that has to be electric. Like Felix Bautista is electric as a closer.
Yes.
And Matt Brash is electric as a relief pitcher, and he's already proven that he can save games. I still think he ends the year like from last week on with more saves than Munoz, but we'll have to see. The only other injury thing that
let me just touch on this Mariners. I mean, from an outside
let's hit it.
perspective, it seems like Munoz is like the guy you want in the ninth to get the 3 outs, and then Brash is the guy you want in the highest leverage possible situation. If that happens to be the ninth inning, go for it. If it's the 2 outs in the seventh, and he can go 1 in the third to get 4 outs. He has the experience of being a starter, and he's not going to be like, oh, I'm sitting in the dugout, I can't go back out there. I feel like that's kind of the best of both worlds for you guys, as long as Munoz can keep this up.
That is a great way to put it. Munoz is really this like the just go out there and get the outs real quick, and you're good to go. And Brash is the Ohtani is up with the runner on first base in the bottom of the ninth inning, and you need somebody to go out and get him out, and he's just gonna fucking cheese him for 3 pitches and get the out. Ohtani was the other person I wanted to touch on though, because I don't think it was news or anybody's talked about it or if anything even happened. But I watched the whole Mariners series this weekend, and in back-to-back games, Ohtani fouled a ball off of his front foot in both games. And the first time he did it, it obviously hurt. He had to step out of the batter's box. He could call time for an extra couple minutes. And then this last game when he did it, he fouled it even harder off of his front foot and had to do the same thing. And he kind of crumpled over for a second when it happened. I don't know if it's going to affect him this week. I haven't seen anybody talk about it. It might just be one of those things where Ohtani's a superhero and it doesn't really matter. But it seemed to hurt bad enough that if he had to sit out a game or two this week because of it, it wouldn't surprise me, because fouling a baseball off of your foot sucks, especially when you hit it like 120 miles an hour.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's a good firsthand knowledge there from watching those games. But I imagine, because he was taken out of his last start with like hand cramps or whatever, and yesterday morning it was reported he's cleared to start Wednesday. So I feel like if that was bothering him, they would have used the hand probably as an excuse to bench him for that start to give him like some rest. But also he could just be like, okay, no, give me the ball. I want to make the playoffs. We've lost 6 games in a row or whatever. Let me get out there and win this game. Like I could see that too.
I think that's what he's doing. But I hope he doesn't miss any time. I hope he does have a solid rest of the year, because I want to see just how good of a year he can put together. And also I'm going to be buying some Topps Chrome, some 2023 Topps Chrome baseball soon. And for those of you that are in the card world, you might know, and you may not know, but last year they did a buyback for Topps Chrome. Whoever won MVP from both leagues, if you had base cards from that Topps Chrome set, you took it into your local card shop and you got $20 credit for each base card. So like just a regular Shohei Ohtani card last year, you got $20 credit. If it was a refractor, you got $60. If it was a numbered card, it went all the way up to like $250 in credit. Topps Chrome is doing the same thing this year, the same buyback program. So whoever wins the MVP for both, likely right now it's going to be Acuna and Ohtani. Same thing, $20 credit for just a regular old worth absolutely nothing base card of Ronald Acuna Jr. If he wins MVP, would be worth that. Same with Ohtani. And I plan on saving up as many Ohtanis as I can. So please, Shohei. I need you to suck enough that the Angels don't like take the Mariners playoff spot, but do good enough to still win the MVP.
Yeah, he's winning the MVP. He could go down the rest of the season. I think he's winning the MVP unless someone has an insane month and carries their team to the playoffs. He's got it locked up. I think he's like minus 1,000 to win it.
Yeah. And I saw one interesting thing on Twitter earlier for MVP, and it made me think. It shouldn't have made me think as hard as it did, but it made me think. Sitting right now, who do you think should win NL MVP, Acuna or Freddie Freeman? And before you say that, Freddie Freeman is hitting like 340 with an OPS over 1 with 41 doubles, 26 home runs, stole 16 bases. Do you think Acuna is still the runaway favorite to win it, or do you think Freddie should be in the conversation?
Yeah, I saw the graphic. I think MLB tweeted out earlier today about it. Honestly, Give me Freddie. I think, the top 3 OPSs. I mean, Freeman does have bets right there because the top 4 OPSs in the NL are Acuna 1.014, Freeman 1.013, Olsen 975, and then Betts 966. So they both have like a sidekick there. And then it's JD Martinez and Will Smith have higher OPSs than Austin Riley and Ozzie Albies. So that was kind of what I was going to lean towards Freeman for, but I don't know. I think Acuna is going to bring it home. I think he's had kind of the headway, and unless Freeman goes off the final month, I think it's probably the Acuna's. I'm not sure what the odds are. I'm not looking them up right now, but I think Acuna's probably still a decent favorite.
I think it could be one of those things like what year was it when Vladdy hit like 43 home runs and finished second in MVP? And it was like, oh, he would have won it any other year.
Acuna is minus 1,600. So I don't think there's
wow.
And like Freeman's 8-1, Mookie Betts is then 45-1, and Olsen's 55-1. Like
that's crazy.
Yeah.
When I see odds like that, I'm tempted to just
sprinkle
what I like? A little bit of money on Freddie.
Bryce Harper 100-1. He is going on an absolute fucking tear. Mark my words. Bryce Harper, if you have him in your league, he's going to carry you to the playoffs, if not the championship. Go trade for him right now.
I got him in every league. Let's go, baby. But on that note, that fired up note, make sure you guys do follow us on YouTube at Fake Baseball Money, at TikTok if that's your thing, at Fake Baseball Money. We have a Facebook page where we are live broadcasting this episode right now. It's also live on YouTube. It is live on Twitch at Fake Baseball. Dude, we are everywhere. We have an Instagram, Fake Baseball Money, literally everywhere at this point. And if you guys could follow us, that goes a long way to helping us out. If you're watching on YouTube, if you hit that subscribe button, I know it doesn't seem like much to you, but that is the type of thing that goes an immeasurable distance towards helping us continue to grow and get our name out there. My favorite thing to say lately, because it's true, is that we are charting all over the world. And it is because of you guys. And to help us chart in more places, all you have to do is hit that follow or like button, especially on your podcast feeds as well, at Apple or Spotify. And you can follow me on Twitter at Buhlockaye, BUHHLOCKAYE.
And you can follow me on Twitter at RGilbertSOP.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.